Hi, I'm Tessa Holst. I'm the Assistant Dean of Students for the College of Social and Behavioral Sciences. And today I want to go over some study skills. And really, who doesn't love Dr. Seuss? So we have to start this one out with a little Dr. Seuss. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself any direction you choose. One of my favorites. Absolutely. It applies to our small children and our big children and our adult children. All right. So one of the first things we want to do in order to have some good study skills is to make sure that we have a place to study, right? You want to have a routine. You want to be comfortable. You want to remove your distractions. What does that mean, right? That means turning off our phones so that we're not getting all those notifications for social media, phone calls, being able to shut the doors so that people cannot interrupt us, having a schedule, being able to study at the same time and place is going to help. It helps not only you, but it helps your family. If they know that every night at 8 o'clock it's mom's study time, they're more likely to eventually learn. I just need to give her that hour, that 2 hours, whatever she needs. She'll be out when she's done. Again, coming back to being comfortable, if you're not comfortable, you're not going to stay, right? If you're hunched over, if your back hurts, if your neck hurts, you're not going to stick around very long because you're going to want to get up and move around. So make sure you're comfortable. Make sure you have the right kind of lighting, right? If you can't see, again, it's not going to be a successful study session. And then evaluate your learning style. We're going to talk about this a little bit more, but we want to also get organized. And what does that mean, getting organized? You have the appropriate furniture. That doesn't mean go out and spend a lot of money. It just means where you're going to study, is it conducive for you? Again, we're going back to that being comfortable, making sure you have an area to work without being interrupted, and have some zones, right? So I would study in my office where I worked, which is also where I paid bills. And so that could be distracting to me when I was in school because I was going back when my kids were, I don't know, they were a lot younger than they are now. But I was easily distracted and I had to learn to put away the bill folder, right? So don't be thinking about paying bills while I'm studying, and be done with work so I wasn't thinking about work while I was trying to study. So making sure that you've got that set up in a way that's conducive to your learning and you're not being interrupted by other items if you're using the same space. So when we're talking about learning styles, um, there's really each person's going to be a little bit different. Let's put it that way. And so some of you may fall into multiples of these categories. But if you are a visual learner, that means you learn by seeing. Kind of makes sense, right? You understand words with images. You enjoy visually pleasing pictures. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to write down keywords that you need to learn. You may even want to use color coding or flashcards. If you are a kinesthetic learner, that means you learn by doing. You like using your hands-on activities. You have to use your senses, all of your senses, to help you engage in those activities. You're going to benefit when you can relate those activities to your real life. And to help you with that, you might want to take frequent breaks. You might want to try chewing gum while you're working and studying, or you might even try walking around while you're studying, listening to headphones, listening to those podcasts, that type of thing. If you are an auditory learner, you're going to learn best by listening. So that means you want to respond well when things are explained to you. You will listen for keywords. If you are an auditory learner, you want to be able to hear what's going on. So if you are in a brick and mortar classroom, you're going to want to sit up front so you can hear. If you're on an online environment, you're going to want to make sure that your speakers are working well so you can hear. You may also benefit by having some flashcards, but you will want them read to you rather than you reading them out loud. You might also want to read your materials out loud instead of in your head. If you are a read-write learner, then you might benefit. You're going to want to learn best by reading and writing, which seems obvious, but you're going to understand it when it's best on paper, right? Rather than just listening. You're going to want to organize your thoughts and make some lists, and maybe even translate some of those lessons into words if you are listening to seminar. You'll want to take notes and make some more lists, and even write out some of those questions. So all of this are just ideas that you can keep in mind depending on your type of learning style. Some things you may want to pick from a list. I like this, I like that, but identifying what works for you based on your learning style is going to help you tremendously. This is a little test, and so you can pause me right now while you get a little piece of paper and a pencil, and I'm going to read off these questions to you, and I want you to write down yes or no to each question. So first question, I spend more time than necessary studying for what I'm learning, yes or no? It's common for me to spend hours cramming the night before, yes or no? If I dedicate too much time to my social life, I don't have enough time to focus on my studies. Or when I study as much as I need to, I don't have enough time to put in my social life, yes or no? I often study with the TV or the radio turned on, yes or no? I struggle to study for long periods of time without taking a break and becoming distracted or tired, yes or no? I usually doodle, daydream, or fall asleep when I go to class, yes or no? Often the notes I take during class notes are difficult for me to understand later when I review them, yes or no? I often end up writing the wrong material in my class notes, yes or no? I don't usually review my notes from time to time throughout the semester in preparation for exams, yes or no? When I get to the end of a chapter in a book, I struggle to remember what I read, yes or no? I struggle to identify what is important in the text, yes or no? I frequently can't keep up with my reading assignments and consistently have to cram the night before a test, yes or no? So you should have had 12 yeses, noses, right? How's that? So what we're going to do now is if you answered yes to the first 3 questions, that's going to mean something. So really what it is if you answered 2 or more out of the 3, that means that you may have some time scheduling issues, okay? Right? If you answered yes to questions 4, 5, and 6, you may have some concentration issues. If you answered yes to listening and note-taking, questions 7, 8, 9, and 7, 8, and 9, that might be a note-taking issue for you. And then the last one is reading, questions 10, 11, and 12. If you answered yes to 2 or more of those, it might be reading that's making you struggle. So what does that mean, right? So the good news is that we have a lot of resources out here that we can help you with. And you can go and find those in the Academic Success Center, whether it is time management, academic confidence building, student success. If you are a concentration, you might want to remove distractions. If you felt it was, you might want to break your note taking or your work into small groups. You might want to move around. You might want to do some calisthenics or jumping jacks while you're in the middle of working on some of your assignments. But again, this is just to kind of help you identify where you might fall in there. And then you can refer back to that last slide on some of those auditory, kinesthetic, verbal, etc. So we want to set some goals too, right? If we want to be successful. So how much time do you need each week, right, for your goals? Because we can't meet them if we don't schedule enough time. So write down your goals, prioritize them, cross them off when you're done, and then identify, did you give yourself enough time, right? If you didn't give yourself enough time, then the next week you're going to have to adjust that. Maybe you want to break them into smaller tasks because you might be one of those individuals who needs to get up and take a break. You might want to evaluate how you did. And then you're going to stay committed and you're not going to give up. And those are easier said than done. But bottom line here, let's reward ourselves. What can you give yourself once you've met those goals? Is it 15 minutes of quiet time? Is it, that candy bar that you've been wanting? Is it, I don't know, a new book, going to a movie, whatever it is, give yourself a small reward. It doesn't have to be a big one. And then when you're starting your term, here's some tips you can use. Make sure you read your syllabus. You're not going to know what your expectations are in the class, what reading materials are. If you have the right books, you need all of that. You got to read your syllabus. Print out your rubrics. It's really hard to get the grades you want if you don't know what the rubrics mean. Review your classroom announcements. Most of them are helpful and useful. We don't put them out there just to be difficult. Check to make sure you have access to each course. You should be able to get into your courses 2 days before classes start. Navigate, explore, look around, make sure that nothing's changed, and then use those virtual offices hours that they're available, or emails that you can send your professor if you have questions. Make sure you use those resources available to you. Weekly responsibilities. This is where you're going to want to make sure you do your discussion board threads on time. How many times a week do you have to do those? Make sure you're getting them all posted. Read the unit material, post to the discussion board, not just once. A lot of times it's 3 times, but check your syllabus to make sure. Attend seminar. And if you can't attend seminar, that's okay, but complete the alternative option. That alternative option gets you the points you need rather than taking a 0. And then complete your assignments and complete them on time, because late deductions add up very quickly. 10% for the first day all the way up through the first week. If you get into the second week, you're looking at a 20% deduction. It's not even possible to get a B at this point. That adds up really quickly. And then know what our resources are. We've got a lot of them out there. So make sure that you have been to the library. Make sure you've been to the Academic Success Center. Look at some of the webinars that are out there. Visit Student Life and get engaged. Studies tell us that if you're engaged, you're more likely to succeed in school. Know who your advisor is. Stay in touch with your advisor. If you struggle with math, go to the Math Center. If you are not feeling comfortable with technology, go to the Technology Center. If you're getting dinged for writing, go to the Writing Center and use the paper review service. All right, few last tips before we wrap up. Plan ahead. What does that mean, right? Planning ahead means creating that study zone, reviewing your syllabus like we talked about, giving yourself, and this is a big one, 1 to 2 hours a day per class. So if you're taking 2 classes, that is about 3 to 4 hours a day per class. Read your material, take some notes. Don't delay in ordering your books. That does not help you. Know your deadlines and then block your time. And if you're blocking your time, you can do this whether it's for reading materials or studying or doing research. Maybe you're taking a test. And then when it comes to your assignments, write down your due dates so you don't miss them. Submit your assignments on time. We've talked about those late points you can lose. Communicate with your professor. They cannot help you if they do not know what's happening. Pay attention. Read those emails from your instructor. Read those classroom notes and classroom announcements. Break your work into small chunks so that you're not just trying to, blow it all out in one sit down. It doesn't work that well. Organize your assignments. Some people like to color code them. Some people like to organize them by type or deadline. Make sure you understand how long it takes to complete your assignments. And if it took you longer than you expected, figure that into next week's scheduling. And then studying. Make studying fun. Have someone that can help you with it, right? Have a study buddy, even if it's just talking through some of your reading or talking through the seminar afterwards. Take frequent breaks, study in small blocks of time, and then take care of yourself. You have to feed yourself. You have to feed your brain. You have to exercise yourself, because if you don't take good care of yourself, no one's going to do it for you. So get enough sleep, eat well, and do a little exercise. Doesn't have to be a lot. All right. You got this. You'll be great. Have a great week.